Maybe. Maybe share.
Yeah, I guess. Good evening, all of you. Hope all of you can hear me. Anyone, guys? Can you please confirm? Is I'm audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Right, guys. Right. So thanks, guys. Thanks for the confirmation. So, guys, let's before starting the session. So let's continue from the last session, guys. So in the last session, we have been just started with something about like what is operating system. So before studying about what is an operating system, like what is going to be the system contents, which we generally call it as a systemware, or what we are going to call it as a computerware. So just a quick review, guys, just a 2 minutes, I'll recap the session if anybody has missed yesterday's class. So we have been got discussed. So mainly our system or a computer contains mainly it is going to contains two things. One is an hardware and one is going to be software. So hardware is nothing but where our computer is to work means we have to have both of them are required. If we have only hardware, we can't use it. It will work, but we can't use it actually, guys. If we have only software without having the hardware, we cannot have the software at all, isn't it? Only hardware is there without having a software. A computer can there, but we can't use it. Without having a hardware, we cannot run the software because any program which is going to be gets running in a system or in a computer obviously requires some kind of an hardware. Without having the hardware, we can't work with that. So both of them are important actually, guys. Without having a hardware, we cannot run a software. Without having a software, I cannot use the hardware at all. Hardware may be there, but I cannot use it actually. So both of them are important, isn't it? So generally we know that no, the guys who are working on hardware, they are called as an hardware engineers. So they knows how to configure the processors, RAMs, disk, monitors, how to all these things they knows about that. Whereas the software engineers, we know that as you know that to develop, we can run the programs, we can write the programs and all these things, we do that. So for IT industry, for IT company, both hardware engineers as well as software engineers are also will be there. But generally hardware engineers are going to be, there are going to be like technically they know how to work with the hardwares, not related to the IT and the software related applications. But every company will have the hardware engineers, the hardware department will be there. And apart from that, there is going to be a softwares, which are going to be mostly in a company will have most of the software engineers will be there. But all their computers and all these things, there is an hardware engineers will be there. So we discussed about software is nothing but a program. A program which is going to be running in a computer is nothing but what we are going to call it as a software. What is a program? A set of instructions which is used to perform a task or to perform a process is what we are going to call it as a software. Example, so many we can write in, guys. MS Paint, calculators, okay, your media players, your WhatsApp application, everything is going to be a software only, guys, isn't it? So to understand that, we have been discussed, mainly we are going to be having the programs are of two types. One is going to be a system program or a system software, and the other one is going to be the application program or application softwares. So what is a system software or a system program? Software is nothing but a program only, guys, isn't it? A software is nothing but a program. That's why we call it as a system program, or what we are going to call it as a system software. So basically, which is used to run the hardware is nothing but what we are going to call it as a system software. Example is your device drivers and operating system. Yesterday I shown you. Every hardware, that means whenever you want to run the hardware, mainly we have to require these two things. Actually, drivers are also part of your operating system only. They will be there. They are part of your operating system only. In operating system only, these drivers will be there. So if you want to run that particular hardware, as you know that no, I'm using a pen tablet. So if the pen tablet has to work, we should have some drivers. So everything I shown you, if you go to the device drivers, for everything, for a processor, for your audio, for your screen display, everything, for everything, if you want to work with your hardware drivers, and operating systems are going to be required. Application programs, application softwares are nothing but to run your business operations or to particular tasks, whatever it can be there. So like they will be written by using C, C++, Java, .NET, Python. These are going to be using these particular programming languages. We have to write in application programs. Okay. So apart from that, yesterday we have been got discussed about a different types of operating systems we have been got discussed. And apart from that, how the system is going to be boots up. So there is going to be something called as an BIOS in your system. First of all, BIOS does not require any operating system. So it is going to be what is system software actually, guys, interacts with your hardware components. Mainly your system drivers and operating system only will interact with the hardware components. So how the computer starts, I told you, which is going to be first BIOS will be there. BIOS does not require an operating system. First it will start is BIOS only. The BIOS will contain all the information about your hardware and all these things. It will be there, startup and all these things. Based on that, it is going to start up actually. After that, that is going to be for booting the operating system, BIOS is required. If BIOS fails, automatically your system, your operating system does not loads at all, isn't it? So that's why this says that BIOS has been corrupted or BIOS has been failed. That's why we have to reset the BIOS, or some kind of a BIOS chip is failure. Then we have to replace the BIOS chip. We have to replace it. Okay, and as we discussed, we are having a different types of operating systems. So like we know that most popular are going to be your Windows, which is going to be Mac, and which is going to be Unix and Linux operating systems. Anyhow, we are going to discuss about Unix and Linux, but before going to that, let us discuss a little bit history about this particular history about the operating systems. Okay, so we all of you know that operating systems are basically of two types, guys. Already we have been just simply we write it as OS. We simply write it as OS or O by S. Generally we write it actually. So generally OS or O by S. Just generally we'll write like this actually. Operating system. Operating systems are basically or of which is going to be two types actually, guys. So already we have been got discussed about. One is going to be what we are going to call it as a character user interface, or which is going to be a command line interface, what we are going to call it as. So what is CUI or CLI? What we are going to stand says, which is going to be what we are going to call it as a character user interface. That means everything I told you, like I told you about the history. So when after I completed my graduation, I have been learned the C language on completely on the Unix operating system. It is completely, the computers are going to be completely, it is going to be character based. It's a CUI based, command line arguments. Everything we have to write only by using command prompt only we have to write. No mouses will be there. We don't have a mouse connected to the machine. We don't have a mouse actually, guys. We don't have a mouse at all. Everything is going to be only keyboard and monitor and the CPU. We don't have a mouse for that particular system. No mouse is available. Everything, do you want to log in? Just log in. It will ask you the username and password. Everything we have to use it by the keyboard only. Okay. So CUI stands for which is going to be character user interface, or which is going to be CLI basically stands for which is going to be a command line interface, what we are going to call it as. So what is this character user interface or command line interface is, guys? Everything we have to do it only by using only command prompt only will be there. You know what is a command prompt, right? Even in our system also, we are having a Windows command prompt, isn't it? So simply if you open it and if I set CMD, if you open the CMD, we are going to be getting a command prompt. Microsoft, which is going to be Windows. It is copyrighted to Microsoft Corporation and all rights has been got reserved actually. So you can see we have got it. This is what we call it as command prompt actually, guys. So everything I can do from here, I can launch a notepad. I can launch a notepad from here. If I said notepad, it is going to be open so notepad. If I want to open an MS Paint, it is going to be MS Paint. I can launch the MS Paint from here now, isn't it? All of you have the basic ideas about this actually, guys, isn't it? So for example, if I want to load, which is going to be MS Word. So or otherwise it may be if path was not set, it won't work. Okay, leave it, does not matter. The path was not set. If the path was set, we have to do it actually, we can do it. Don't worry. So all these are going to be system programs, no? So it has been already, they have been set the path. That's why they're able to open it actually. But almost all every application I can open from here only. I can open from here. Why? Because it is completely command prompt. It's not GUI based. How to open MS prompt, MS Paint generally, we'll go to the start button and we are going to do all these things. We know that it's a graphical user interface. But whenever we talk about the character interface operating systems, so we used to work only with the command prompt only we used to work. The best examples of this particular one is going to be, MS-DOS, a very old operating system, and UNIX. MS-DOS and UNIX actually, guys. So MS-DOS is a very old operating system, around in 1990s, I can say that. Around in 1990s, we used to do it actually, guys. It was started in 1945, but around in 1990s, when we started using the computers, we came to know that is going to be the MS-DOS is what we used to use it actually. And Unix, even Unix is also nowadays, it was outdated actually, yes. I told you no. Unix is completely, which is going to be a character user interface only. No GUI based, no drag and drops, no double clicks, no right clicks. Okay, no select options, nothing is going to be there actually. Do you want to delete a file? How do you delete a file basically? Select the file, right click and just click on delete. Do you want to copy the file? Right click, click on copy. Go to the destination and there we used to paste it. Right click and paste it. But in command line interface, nothing is going to be done with the help of the mouse. Only keyboard will work actually, guys. So the best examples of this particular CUI and character user interface is, which is MS-DOS or which is going to be the Unix operating systems. Okay. Now the second one actually, guys, which is going to be nothing but what we are going to call it as a graphical user interface. It is going to be a graphical user interface actually, guys, a graphical user interface. In short, we are going to call it as GUI. Nowadays, everybody has been habituated with this particular GUI. So everyone is preferring to use the GUI base because yes, there is some advantages are also there actually, guys. In GUI base, what is an advantage? Without having any, so generally, guys, normally if I give you a Windows system, even a person who do not have any idea about a computer also, at least he can use. Why? Because everything they can see on the screen, they can just double click on that, they can do that. But if I give a Unix system to anybody, unless and until they are at least having some basic knowledge, they don't know how to use a computer. Even you also, guys, if you already have the idea about, because nowadays everybody is, it has become very convenient actually, guys. Previously, whenever we want to work with the Unix operating systems. So nowadays we have got all these things, guys, the VMwares and all these things, we have got it actually. So the virtual machines and all these things, we have got it actually. Earlier, we are not having that. So at that time, what we used to do is, nowadays, nobody is using actually, guys. We used to use something called as a dual booting. Dual booting means we have to start the computer. When you start up the computer, previously we used to use multiple operating systems actually, guys. Nowadays, we are not using them actually. Previously, we used to use it. Whenever we start the computer, it will give a prompt. So let us say that you want to use multiple. For example, it's a very old options actually, guys. Like for example, let us say that I'm talking about olden days, but let us say Windows 98 and we are having Windows XP was there. So I want to work with both of them. You can work with both of them actually, guys. In this case, what we have to do is we have to go for dual booting. Nowadays, your systems are going to be coming directly with operating systems. But some years back, we didn't get any operating system by default. We have to install it separately. So according to your requirement, we used to configure them. So it will open. So can Windows 98, Windows XP, or if you want to work with, let us say something like a Linux, we used to work with the Linux. Multiple operating system, which we used to call it as dual booting. So whenever we start the computer, it is Windows 98 will open. For example, Windows 98. If you want to work with Windows XP, so what we have to do is we have to shut it down and we have to work with Windows XP. If you want to work with Linux, we have to shut it down and we have to work with Linux. So booting is multi-boot. It's a dual booting, but we used to work with only one operating system at a time. Only one operating system at a time. That's why people didn't have the opportunity to work with multiple operating systems. But nowadays, to avoid all these things, why should I again log off from one operating system, and why we have to work with a different operating system? So that's why nowadays all these virtual machines and all these things has been came. So without logging off directly while working at one operating system, I can work with the another operating system. So I'm working with Windows 11 right now. This is Windows 11. Okay, my system is Windows 11. Now I can install some VMware, and inside the VMware I can use, which is going to be some other operating system like an Linux operating system, what we can use. So this is going to be what we are going to call it as a guest operating system, and this is what we are going to call it as the host operating system. Generally we know it now, host and guest, isn't it? So VMware came as a guest, and Windows 11 is going to be the hosting, which is going to be the Linux operating system. So on which system you have been installed the VMware, that system is host. And whereas a VMware, wherever what operating system you install, it is going to be guest operating system. So we are able to work with both the operating systems at a time. So people started utilizing. So once it's a free software. VMware is a VMware player is a free software. And you can get a Linux as an operating system, which is going to be an open source. So everything is coming as a free of cost. So people started learning, people started using that particular Linux operating systems. So nowadays people got some familiarity with that. But earlier, some years before, when we don't have this VMware and all these things, only 1 or 2% people only, they used to work on the Linux. Remaining people, they mostly work on the Windows. Okay, so let us come to the graphical user interface. So graphical user interface means which is going to be all operations, which is going to be all operations using which is going to be a simple, what we are going to do is a simple drag and drop options actually, which is going to be a drag and the drop operations only we used to do. So drag, drop it, right click, double click, every operation we can do with the help of the mouse. I can use both keyboard and mouse, both I can do, but GUI means completely by the help of the mouse. CUI means it is completely with the help of the keyboard. So all operations using a simple drag and drop options only, we used to work with that. The best example is going to be, all of you know that it is going to be Windows, and we are having a Linux, and we are going to be having, which is the Mac, etc., etc. What we can talk about them, guys, isn't it? So Windows, Linux, and Mac. So all these are going to be comes under the, which is going to be a graphical user interfaces actually. Got the point? Fine. So hope you understood the difference between Unix and Linux actually, guys. So both of them are same. I can say that Unix is completely an operating system, which is going to be nothing but, so we know what is an operating system, guys. It is a system software which allows you to interact with the hardware, which is going to be allows you to interact with that particular hardware. So application software, when it has to interact with the hardware, so there is my OS is to be required actually. So there are two types. One is going to be a character user interface, and other one is going to be graphical user interface. So whatever the Windows we are using is purely, it is going to be what we can say that a graphical user interface. So Unix, the old one, which is going to be nothing but the, which is a window, it's an what I can say is it's a CUI based, a character user interface. Whereas whenever we talk about the Linux, which is going to be graphical user interface. So how they are evolved, I'll tell you now. So once this is done actually, guys. So operating systems are divided into two types. One is a character user interface, other one is the graphical user interface. Now, coming to this particular one, guys, whether it is going to be a CUI or whether it is going to be a GUI, this can be further classified into two types actually, guys. One is going to be what we are going to call it as a single user operating systems. Here we have it, guys. Both of them is there, guys. A single user operating system, and we are having something called as an there is an opposite of that, which is going to be a multi-user operating system, guys. Both, that means whether it is an Windows based or whether it is a GUI based or whether it is going to be nothing but a CUI based, whatever it may be, they can be further classified into two types. One is going to be a single user operating system, and the other one is going to be a multi-user operating system. Sir, what is meaning of single user and multi-user? The name itself represents. The name itself is going to be represents actually, guys. What is meaning of a single user operating system? So very simple. Only one user can use the resources at a time, guys. Only a single user can use the resources. Can use the resources, guys. That means whatever the resources that are available in your system, only and only one user can only one user can use it at a time. Generally, we are going to call it as which is going to be a standalone systems, what we are going to call it as, guys. They are called as a standalone systems, standalone individual systems. So whenever you want to work with that particular resources, only from that computer, only one user can work at a time. Then what is going to be a multi-user operating systems? Multi-user operating systems are nothing but same thing. Multiple users can work at a time. So what I'm saying that, which is going to be nothing but what we can say is, which is going to be multi-users, multiple users can use the resources at a time. Can use the resources at a time actually, guys. Can use the resources which is going to be at a time. They can be gets connected actually. Just a second, guys. Yeah. So multi-users can connect at a time. What we can do it actually, guys. Just a second. Right. So multi-users can use the resources at a time. That means we have a system. We have a system actually, guys. We have a system. Now from this particular system, multiple users can connect at a time. Multiple users. At a time, multiple users can connect to the system at a time, and they can work on this particular system at a time. All of them can use the resources that is available in that particular system. So multiple users, I'm not saying that multiple users means at a time, multiple users can connect from the same system, from different systems. Using some networking, they can connect actually, guys. Isn't it? So this is one system actually, guys. So multiple system from different systems, people can connect and they can use the resources. For example, there is a file here now. This file can be accessible for multiple people from multiple systems it is going to be. But how it is possible? Only with the help of some networking and all these things we have to connect actually. But why it is single user operating system? Why? Because they are called as standalone systems. So we cannot directly connect from external systems, or we cannot connect with the networking because they don't support networking at all. So second point, if we talk about that, there is going to be no networking facility. So we cannot connect the system in a network actually, guys, which is going to be, we can say, no networking facility actually, guys. It is going to be a no networking facility. But whereas here, it can be accessible from multiple systems. How it is possible? Using some kind of a networking. You know that, no? So intranet, internet, LAN connections. LAN connection means internally. Intranet, within the organization, the systems will be connected. Internet means without the outside the organization also we can connect, isn't it? So here it is going to be networking facilities available actually, guys. So no networking facility. And here it is going to be a networking facility is available actually, is possible, what we can say that. Is possible, or what we can say that it is an available actually, guys. Okay. So only one user can connect at a time, and we cannot connect, any networking is not possible. That is on very olden days actually, guys. But nowadays in organization, we know it actually, guys. People can easily able to share the files. How they are able to share the files very easily, guys? So in our organizations, mostly what will happen here is there is going to be something called as an SharePoint servers will be there actually, guys. SharePoint servers. So what they will do is they will upload one file. They will load a file on the SharePoint servers. So once they upload into the SharePoint servers, what will happen here is anybody with the same link, anybody can update it. Anybody was able to update it actually, guys. I'll just show you one example further, just for a small timing, just and show you, I guess. I'll show you some example. So that example, just let me show you once. Just let me show you once. I can open some of the, which is going to be SharePoint servers actually, guys. Just a minute. Don't have a links. Just give me a second. This is, I'm not talking about Google Drive. It is going to be what I'm going to call it as, which is going to be a SharePoint server is going to be there actually. Just a minute once. Just give me a second. I'll show you what. Just give me a second. Right. So if we can observe carefully, here we can see it actually, guys. Can you see? This is going to be, so recently I have been taken some training for a company called as an FutureEns. So if you can see the FutureEns company / which is going to be, can you see? FutureEns hyphen, which is going to be mysharepoint.com, some, which is going to be having a link actually, guys. So here you can see some kind of an Excel sheet is there. So what is this Excel sheet shows you here is, which is going to be something like what we can observe here is, we are able to work with these particular applications actually. So which is going to be, if I make any changes here now, automatically what is going to happen here is that will be gets updated on the, which is going to be the SharePoint server. It is going to be automatically gets updated actually. So how I was able to access it actually, which is going to be through some kind of a SharePoint server, it was able to access it. So everybody was able to share that through some kind of a networking. They're able to share it actually. It's using a SharePoint server. Generally in every organizations, generally SharePoint servers will be there. Basically, whenever people want to share the files easily, they are going to be using this particular SharePoint servers. How it is possible actually, guys? Whenever we are using this kind of an, what we can say that like a multi-user operating systems, what we are going to be using it actually. So we can say which is going to be a single user operating system, and other one is going to be what we can call it as a multi-user operating systems. Okay, so this is going to be what we are going to be gets talking about that. So what are the examples of which is going to be nothing but a single user operating systems actually, guys? What are going to be the examples of which is going to be a single user operating systems? So coming to this particular one, coming to the single user operating system, I think initially I was not sure about that because MS-DOS, it is going to be initially it was a single user. Later it has been modified to which is going to be multi-user, as I remembered. But initially it is going to be a single user operating system. But later it has been modified once the networking has been came. So it is going to be, it has been become a multi-user operating system. But some of the examples are going to be, guys, MS-DOS, and other one is going to be from Windows 95 and even Windows 98. All these are going to be comes under initially the first versions of Windows, which is 95, 98. Those are going to be comes under the, which is going to be a single user operating systems. So in this MS-DOS is going to be a character user interface, whereas the Windows 95, 98, which are going to be a GUI based interface. This is CUI and this is going to be GUI. And coming to the multi-user operating system, starting from the beginning, UNIX is an CUI based, a character user interface. Then almost all Windows versions actually, guys. We have so many Windows versions are there. So I think you may not be aware about that. So let me talk about the Windows versions actually, guys. Maybe some of you maybe never heard about that also, but I have seen Windows 98, guys. Windows 98, 98, 95, 98. Then it is going to be 2000. Even in 2000, we have a 2000 server, which is going to be server operating system. After that, I think it is going to be 2008 we have been seen. After 2000, yeah, it is going to be 2008 we have been seen. And in 2008 also we have a different versions are there. And after that, we are having something called as a Windows 7. And after that, we have a Windows 8. Even most of you have never seen 7 and 8 also. I've seen all these operating system, guys. Starting from 2000, I am seeing that. 95 have been seen, 98, almost all. When I completed my graduation, it was 98. After that, 2000, we have got it. Even 2000, even we have got Windows NT also, actually, guys. There is a version called as an Windows NT we have got. After that, Windows 2008 we have got. Do you have Windows 2005? We don't have Windows 2005, but Windows, which is going to be 2008, we have got. After 2008, we have got Windows 7, Windows 8, and after that, Windows 10, and now it is going to be Windows 11. These are all the different types of operating systems, the versions in Windows, guys. In that, Windows 95, 98 is going to be completely standalone systems, Whereas whenever it comes to almost all, even one more is there actually, guys. I forgot to write it, Windows XP. After 2000, we have an XP operating system, guys. So all these versions are going to be, so almost all XP is also networking. I remembered Windows XP, Windows 2000, Windows NT, okay, Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows 8, now Windows 10, as well as Windows 11. All of them are going to be comes into a multi-user operating systems. UNIX starting from beginning, it was a graphical SN, which is a multi-user. The MS-DOS, initially it was a single user operating system, but later it was modified to, which is going to be a multi-user operating system. Later it has been became, but UNIX was, initially it was almost all from starting from beginning, I think it is going to be a single operating system. It was there actually. And after that, even so Unix, Windows, even if we talk about Linux, Mac, all these are going to be comes under, which is going to be a multi-user operating systems only. All of them has been came from the, which is going to be a multi-user operating systems. So at a time, multiple users can connect and they can access the resources of a particular systems. So mainly the one of the advantage of using this Unix or Linux is going to be, it is going to be comes under the a multi-user operating systems. There are going to be multi-user operating systems. There are going to be there. I think MS-DOS is completely CUI based. Unix, I think so, guys, because very long back. But I remembered initially, because I used it only from starting from 2000, very long back, because it started in somewhere around 1969 it was started. So maybe I remembered that because 1972 C has came, 1969 this actually 1972 approximately we can say that. So using the C language only, they have been developed to the Unix operating system actually. Okay, so don't worry, just we don't want to work with them. But MS-DOS is going to be a single user operating system. Unix and Windows almost starting from Windows 2000, Windows NT and all these things has been came under the multi-user operating systems actually. Even Linux and even Mac. Even Mac, all of them are going to be comes under the a multi-user operating systems actually. Okay. So this is going to be just another discussion about today's class is. So today, what are the things we have been discussing, guys? One is going to be what is UI and what is going to be GUI. What are the different operating systems? And coming to the other one, these operating systems are basically classified into two types: single user and multi-user. Only one user can connect at a time, can use the resources of the system. No networking is possible. Multi-user is nothing but multiple users can connect, can access the resources at a time, and networking facility is also possible. MS-DOS, Windows 95, Windows 98 is going to be comes under single user. Unix, which is going to be CUI, which is going to be a multi-user operating system, and almost all starting from Windows 2000 or Windows NT, all of them are going to be comes under the multi-user operating systems. And even the Linux or Mac, different flavors we have, I'll talk about them. So Linux, Mac, all of them are going to be comes under them, which is going to be something like a multi-user operating systems, guys. Okay. So that is going to be all about this particular applications. Yes, Linux, Mac, Windows 2000, NT, XP, yes, all of them are going to be GUI based. They are the GUI based, except the Unix. Except the Unix, remaining are going to be GUI based. Linux is GUI based, Mac is GUI based. Starting from Windows 95, it was a GUI based. Windows from 95, it is a GUI based. Okay, Windows 95, Windows 98. But there are single user operating system. These are multi-user operating systems. Okay, NT, XP, 7, 8, 10, 11, all of them are going to be GUI based. Absolutely. Right? Fine, guys. So that is going to be one of the discussions what we are going to be doing it. So just for today, I'll stop it here, guys, and we'll continue in the tomorrow's class. So I think already my backend team has already informed you guys. So almost all demo sessions are already completed. Almost all of you are attending from the last 1 week of time. So I think already we have got a follow-up mails. I think, guys, if you see your mails, you will be getting the follow-up mails will be there. Like I'll show you once. So this is going to be a follow-up mail from our DURGASOFT backend team. So you can find the demo link, course contents, what are the demo videos are there. They have already, if you have missed any classes, you can see the demo videos last 4 days or 5 days, 22nd, 23rd, 26th, and 27th. The last 4 days, these are going to be the demo sessions you can see. So you can just go through the demo sessions if you have missed any classes. I think so. I already informed them. So these are all the, you have to get registered, guys, to continue your next coming classes. So as I told you, we are going to give the drive access and all these things. We can see class plus video plus soft copies. We'll be having a 6 months of access will be there. So the cost of this course is 3,000. So these are all the payment methods they have been already shared with you. Already that will be there. So all you can pay through the Google Pay or a Phone Pay, whatever Google or Phone Pay, what you can pay it. Or otherwise we are having the account details are there. So if you have any concerns, you can talk to my backend team. The given numbers are there. You can just call them and you can find out more and more details if you require, guys. So soon the link will be changes, guys. It will become a payment link. So who has been paid, only those people will get the links actually, guys. Maximum by, I think tomorrow they will change it. So please complete off your registration process by almost all by tomorrow. Then we can get the access to the drive and all the material access will be given to you. Okay. So if you have any concerns, guys, you can also reach me. I'll also share my number also. We'll create a group also. We'll also create a group. Okay. I'm also sharing my number, guys. 80080777717. Right. I have been shared my contact number, guys. If you have any concerns, just you can reach me out on my number. Either you can call me. Better, you can just send me a text message to me so that I can reply, because sometimes if I was in classes, I don't reply. So immediately I can't lift your phone. I can't attend your calls. That's why better to, which we are going to do it actually, guys. Yes, we see them, all of them. Are you going to teach debugging? Yes, debugging of errors using log files. We do it actually, Ajay. Okay, fine. So we'll see them. It's a little bit admin related part, but we'll see them actually. Okay, there are some log files will be there. We'll see all of that architecture and all these things. We'll have a look into that. Okay, fine, guys. So that's it for the today's class, guys. So I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe the link will changes. Please check your mails because if the link will changes, so they will send the mail updated mail to you. So please complete of the registration process as soon as possible so that you can get the drive access and all the materials immediately, guys. Okay. So thanks for today, guys. I'll meet up in the tomorrow's class. Thanks all of you guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.